For this edition of the KTM Summer Grill, we are going to focus on Formula One. Delighted to be joined by Speed Cafe's F1 editor, Matt Koch, once again. And on the line, all the way from the UK, is McLaren team principal, Andrea Stella. It is terrific to get you on. Welcome. And can we begin by reflecting on the year that was 2023 and the incredible turnaround that you and the team pulled off?
First of all, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. And 2023 season, I think in 2023 we can identify four phases for McLaren. The first one is the start of the season, in which we were not competitive. It was a struggle to score points on merit. We kind of knew that it would have been a difficult start of the season, because the good thing in Formula One, if you want, is that it's a sport, but is a measured sport, especially in terms of the element that makes most of the difference, which is actually the car. There's a part of the difference made by the drivers, which is essential, but actually the category for what you can compete is determined by the car. Within this category, the driver can make the difference. And we knew the numbers over the winter were not, would have not been good enough at the start of the season to compete for the high positions on the grid. Anyhow, we looked at the situation. We tried to analyze what needed to be improved. We took an approach to the team evolution, which meant we looked at 360 degrees as to what was required to develop. This process is ongoing. Formula One never stops in terms of constant evolution. But anyhow, first phase, we knew we would not be competitive. Then, thanks to the changes, we ended up with a good upgrade in Austria, which was phase two. We were able now to compete for good points and occasionally for podiums. Then there was in background still quite a lot of work ongoing on developing the car, which led to the Singapore upgrade, another phase, phase three, in which we were now strong contenders for podiums. But then phase four is what I see end of season, in which in Formula One, once again, you get the evidence that if you don't develop, and we didn't develop the car after Singapore, the others kind of catch up. This is the phase four of the 2023 season. And that's my review.
So is there a standout moment for you? Is there one moment of 2023 that you're the most proud of?
Difficult to mention one in particular. I just go like by instinct and feeling in trying to answer your question. And as I do so, what comes to my mind, almost in a visionary way, a visual way, not visionary, is the early laps in Austria, where we had in free practice one, Lando was on the new car and Oscar was on the previous car, and I could see in telemetry that Lando, thanks to the new car, he was able to carry quite a lot more speed in mid-corner. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this looks good. So that was a good memory, good feelings, which then thankfully was confirmed by lap time, and it was confirmed then by results. And then I think the other one I would like to mention is the Silverstone race, in which we had the McLaren on the lead. We had two cars that should have finished on the podium, because Oscar's podium was missed just because of the timing of a safety car. So that was kind of confirmation. We are strong. We are on a good path. And like I said before, I know in background there was still good development ongoing, and then would have seen the light later on in the season. So that's the two highlights, if you want, of this turnaround.
You mentioned the drivers there,
Andrea, and all year I've been bugging Oscar with my questions. I want to tease our audience just a little bit with Oscar and talk about Lando first. How good was his season?
So I think Lando's season, we can talk about two main features. The first one is once the car was good enough for Lando to be able to contend for podiums and, like with some of the top guys that were already scoring strongly in the 2023 season, he just was there. He was immediately able to deliver. He was confirming somehow that he is one of the best drivers on the grid, natural speed, very mature racecraft. So, not only speed in qualifying or speed in isolated phases of the weekend, but consistently fast in a race, even when a tire situation changes, even when there's some close racing going on, just a very solid driver. At the same time, I think with Lando, we saw that there's quite a lot of potential still. Like, let's think how many opportunities we could have somehow exploited better in qualifying. Like, this year has certainly not been the best season for Lando in qualifying. And this shows how much development in Formula One is fundamentally a journey. And even if you kind of elevate your category, you keep finding an enormous amount of opportunities to keep improving. And that's where I see Lando in his journey.
What about the Oscar Piastri journey? Lots of Australians, Andrea, are very excited about what he did in 2023. Are all the headlines that we saw down here kind of justified in your mind?
Totally justified. I think Oscar, in my view, Oscar kind of went beyond expectations. Like, we were optimistic. We certainly wanted very strongly that Oscar could race for McLaren in his first season in Formula One. But what he was able to deliver on track, and to some extent off track, was beyond expectation. I think we have seen a couple of points which are just outstanding. I think the first one I would like to mention is the pure speed. And it's a pure speed that he is also not in a hurry to show when there's no need to show it. So it's an interesting behavior. Like in P1, there's not necessarily need to go to the limit. It's the session in which you need to accrue, you need to learn the elements, the bits that at some stage you will have to put together to deliver quick laps. Okay, so like it is this sense of like building in the elements to be quick, which then lead Oscar to put together laps like he did in Suzuka to qualify the car P2 on the grid on one of the most challenging tracks in Formula One, an old school track, quite unforgiving, with high-speed corners, and as a proper rookie, because he never raced with a Formula One car, and ever, I think, in Suzuka. So this pure speed, but also the way he builds to create the delivery of this pure speed is quite outstanding, beyond expectation. And certainly you wouldn't say this is a rookie if you didn't know. And like I've had the opportunity to say before, I think he supports these qualities. He supports the capability to utilize the talent that he has available by by just being a very cool guy, you know, like very calm, very controlled. He keep himself in the most productive status, which is difficult for people that are not under the pressure of a Formula One driver, and even more difficult where you are under the pressure of a Formula One driver, but still he remains in this, you know, apparent state of calmness, which I think is very important for your brain to process just what is important. Don't deal with noise in your brain. Don't deal with unnecessary dialogue in your brain. Don't create situations that you need to elaborate and that they use energy, capability, capacity in your brain. So it's, I think this is a quality that clearly Oscar, he either has as a natural gift or he kept developing throughout his career. Certainly, we need to keep developing this one because the pressure is just going to increase through in his career, and we need to make sure that we keep this quality on his side, supporting his development.
How close is Oscar from the finished product? You've worked with some properly top tier drivers, Michael Schumacher, Fernando Alonso. How close is Oscar to those, and how close is Oscar from his own potential, do you think?
You know, like I talked before about journey in relation to Lando, when I think about the journey, let's say the journey is this finite distance, I just can think he's at the start. But I'm thinking he's at the start, not because he's a rookie. He's at the start because the sense of potential you perceive working with Oscar is like, wow, I don't know where he's gonna, you know, how far he can go. So I can only see the start, but I have almost no sense of how far he can go in this journey. So I think it's important we focus on this concept of it's the start. We are creating the foundation. We know the strengths. We need to work hard to identify the opportunities, accelerate on developing the opportunities, the limitations, if you want, the weaknesses, and consolidate the strengths. For me, what is important is this is just a sense of journey. And you know, I think I've said already in the past, the results take care of themselves. So what you really have to focus on is every day try to be better than yesterday, and tomorrow be better than today. That's the ethos that you know, we try to have at McLaren. Certainly I can see in Oscar, and certainly that would be the main advice I will keep giving Oscar.
What sort of things, maybe you don't, Andrea, set clear markers, I'm not sure, but what sort of things would you be hoping he will hit and achieve in 2024, Oscar?
Like I say, I will shy away from results. We need to, like, for me, that's not the important element. For me, it's more where do we need to improve? And what with Oscar, we have seen this year that we gained quite a lot of experience in the race, because what happens in the race, you can't really experience that in practice. You can a little bit in testing, but there's no testing anymore in Formula One, because in the race you go for 20, 25 laps in a row with the same set of tires, and there's a lot of your race pace, of your race competitiveness, that has to do with understanding how am I going to use my tires. How do I perceive that the balance is evolving, and what does it mean in terms of compensations with my driving, with the tools that are available in the car, like controlling the differential, the engine braking, and so on. So this is experience that Oscar has made in his first season in Formula One. But we also have to think that from track to track, from event to event, this experience kind of never repeats itself in the same way. So the amount of learning is enormous. And this is where I see with Oscar, we need to capitalize on what we learned in 2023, try to exploit that in 2024, but it will be, once again, a bit of a journey of accruing this learning, making good use of it. And Oscar, at his advantage, is that he can use his brain power in a very effective way in capitalizing this experience. The other opportunity we have, for instance, with Oscar is try to be, as I said before, it can be quick, it builds on through the weekend. The more we get, the sooner we get quick in a weekend as much as possible, the more we can move on to other tasks so that we can be as prepared as possible come the race. So using the speed earlier in practice will put him a little bit on the forefoot compared to now, where it takes a couple of sessions or 3 to get to the ultimate speed. So there's so much that we can do that I think that's our focus. If we do that, you will see that results will come to us.
Andrea, we've spoken a lot about drivers. Looking at the team as a whole, you've got 2 young drivers, Lando and Oscar. You've got a technical team that's clearly got a good grasp of the rules, evidenced by the steps that you've made in Austria and then again in Singapore. You've got some good signings coming, Rob Marshall and Davide Sanchez. You've got some good guys behind the scenes, Peter Bedromu and the likes. Is McLaren on the precipice of something great, do you think?
I don't think it will be a precipice. It will be more of a gradient. Certainly, as you said, the ingredients are coming together. We need to work very carefully with attention onto how we make the recipe work. Sometimes you may have good ingredients, but if you are not a good chef, these ingredients not necessarily produce the result you expect. So I think this is one of the main areas for me and Zach to work on. Make sure that these ingredients find their right way to combine all together. So far, we are happy with that. But definitely, for instance, including Rob Marshall, David Sanchez, while we have a nice structure in place, it will require adaptation of working ways. It will require integration of their ideas, the way they look at developing a car. So there's certainly quite a lot of work ahead of us.
Andrea, we're very conscious of time here. Can we finish, because you've been superb in chatting with us, just by maybe getting a thought on 2024. You may not like to put a number on it. We don't necessarily know what your rivals are up to at the moment and so on. But as you venture into new car testing and the season ahead, what would you like to achieve?
Well, obviously, we finished fourth this season. We want to do better. So we want to, as you said, and as we said before, the ingredients now have the potential to do better than fourth. It will be a long season, so we will see at the start of the season where we are. We are uncertain because we don't know our competitors, how much they will be able to improve over the winter. But if we take the 2023 season as an indication, after Austria, McLaren is the team that scored the most points after Red Bull, and Lando is actually the driver that scored the most points after Verstappen. So it would be obviously a terrific result to be able to confirm this second, let's say. Terrific. I hope it sounds like positive. So it would be great to confirm this second. But we know how ambitious Mercedes are. They say they are going to change their car entirely. Certainly Ferrari are not happy to be third. Like Formula One nowadays is so competitive. Even when I started in Formula One in 2000, it was Ferrari and McLaren. It was always a couple of cars in the mix, but now we have 4 teams that at the start of the season are equipped to win world championships. Not to forget, obviously, that Aston Martin as well, they are certainly very equipped and capable from a technical, operational point of view. So it's busy at the front of the grid. We hope to be in this trajectory that we had in 2023. And ultimately, I think that's great for Formula One. It's great for the fans that they can see such a competitive sport. And I hope that in 2024 as well, there will be more variety in winning races. And hopefully this variety will include McLaren, Lando and Oscar.
We thank you very, very much. We knew this would be good for our audience. Some very passion-fueled, insightful answers. To you and all of the staff there, have a fantastic festive season. And we look forward to seeing what those ingredients bake, Andrea, for 2024. We're excited for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And I'll see you soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You could be a winner each episode of the Summer Grill. KTM are giving you the chance to win a bar stool, a mug, and this race-inspired clock as well. So there's more good reasons to tune in and hear from some of the stars of world motorsport here as a part of the KTM Summer Grill. All you got to do is click on the link below, fill in your details, and you could be in the running to win.